It is a very good morning, good afternoon, good evening to you, and what a joy to come your way this week with the first production for this week. Remember how we roll? Every week we have two basic productions, the life questions and the ministry questions. On Tuesday, we deal with life issues, everything that you need to know about life. You know how God, the Bible declares that God will give you that which pertains to life and godliness, right? So in ministry questions, we look at the godliness aspect of what it is that God wants to give to us. In the life question, we look at how you are supposed to succeed in every aspect of your life, health-wise, family-wise, financial-wise, education-wise. Talking about education, that is the focus for today. And I have someone who is extremely passionate about education, extremely passionate about education. I'm gonna let her introduce herself in a short while. I'm gonna get her to join the studio and she's gonna introduce herself in a short while. But the first time I really got to pick this beautiful lady in the radar, and it was really associated to education. I think she was in England at such at that time, and she was just passionate about education. She's always been passionate about education. She was studying back then, and we were able to meet one on one at some point. And now she is also out in another Western world. Guess what? Still studying, studying, studying. So there's so much passion about this lady and education, and she happens to be the wife of one of my best buddies, one of my best friend in the whole wide world. And you can imagine the joy in me because at the end of this production, someone who had always looked at education as not to be important, we pick up encouragement, go back and brush yourself in every aspect that you need to brush yourself educationally speaking. Ladies, gentlemen, brothers, sisters, everyone watching. Meanwhile, before I bring her on, can I deeply appreciate you for tuning in today? God bless you. Thank you so very much. I appreciate your presence. Your presence is the best gift you can give to me. Thank you for your presence. Thank you for tuning in. This is going to be like 1 hour production. We're not going to take your time. We're going to go straight to the point. And while you are tuned in, it will be deeply appreciated also if you could share this video, start a watch party. Let's empower you, empower your children, empower anyone close to you. Let's open our eyes and understanding about this issue of education. Let me go and get her to talk to us. I can't wait. I want to learn. All right, let's get this beautiful woman of God to come talk to us today. The wife of my great brother. Woo! Awesome. We are glad and excited to have you, Elaine. What a joy. What a joy to have you. I have been trying to get you. You are not an easy person to get, man, but thank God
Oh
for
my
today.
God.
Thank God for today. Meanwhile, let's start with a little bit of introduction. People want to know you from you. Um,
Okay.
I have said a little that I know about you, but it will be okay if you could just go ahead and let us know who you are, what you do, and after the introduction, we go straight into this beautiful discussion. Over to you.
Okay. Thank you so much for having me and everything good from me to everybody that is watching. And thank you to everyone for joining. So whether you're in the afternoon, morning, evening, everything good from me to you. All the goodness you could ever think of, from me to you. So my name is Elaine. So at the moment, I'm doing a PhD in biological sciences. Just as Pastor Ike had said, I'm really passionate about education. Now, not because I just want to study, but I want to be able to also help other people. So for me to leave is to be part of the lives of young people because I'm passionate about helping them to discover and to achieve and to reach their full potentials. Okay, so that's me, like in general. This is what I want to, this is what I would love to do. Just a bit about me. I started teaching when I was in primary school. I'm sure you're wondering how. So that is how passionate I am about education. I started teaching when I was in primary school. So I would always come back from school with chalk, then and then I'll have like a blackboard at home. And while I'm coming back, because I was with my grandmom at that time, on my way back from school, I would have children in the community running and following the car home. So once I drop my bag, sometimes I wouldn't even eat. I just come and teach. even as a child. So growing up, it has just been that way. So I've almost taught all my life, whether formally or informally. But I know at some point, formally, I taught in secondary schools, and even before I commenced this program to do a PhD, I was lecturing at Federal University in Dufu-Alike Ikwo in Ebonyi State, Nigeria, before I embarked on this journey to do a PhD in biological sciences. So I'm super excited to be talking about this. And thank you for coming on. Thank you for coming to share with us. And it's my hope and belief that after this time of discussion, people would begin to yearn to
Mm-hmm.
learn,
Mm-hmm.
and I'm sure at the end you would also find out that it's not just about the schooling environment, because sometimes when we hear about education, it's all school, college, and all of those. So you're going to find out that we've got an opportunity for you to learn informally and an opportunity for you to learn formally. But you know what? On a large scale, the most of education that happens is when you have a mix of the informal, and the formal, because you want to be able to seize any opportunity that comes, in every area. So thank you for having me, Pastor Ike. And I want to say thank you for all that you're doing, all the shows on Tuesday. Sometimes I'm at work and I may not be there like actively, or sometimes I just listen. Last
Right.
week was amazing on relationship. It was
Right.
really amazing. It was
Right.
amazing. So well done
Thank
with
you
all
so
the good
much.
work. And
I
thank you for
appreciate
having
and I accept the accolade. Now, education is widely talked about,
me.
but I'm not sure it's widely accepted, especially the way it's talked about. It will shock you that in this 21st century we have unreasonable, shocking amount of illiterates. I mean, here in America that I live, I mean, parents are beginning to make it a prayer point for their children to desire to go for college. I mean, if you leave those children, they don't want to go to college. They just don't want to go to college. So how come that something is being generally talked about, widely talked about, but not widely embraced? What are the limitations? Why is it that people don't have, like the subject we're discussing, quest for education? Why do you think so?
We may look at that in, I don't know, different areas, but talking about young people, as you said, not
Mm,
wanting to. Now, if you look at it, young people, adolescents, teenagers, in that category are always distracted by the social world. Remember,
mm,
right?
mm,
They're
mm,
distracted by the social world. They want to find a place in the social world. They want to find some form of meaning in the social world. They want to be in a place where they don't feel the pain that they are feeling, and not that they don't yearn for learning, but sometimes it's like, how you have like a formal education where you have a curriculum, where you have a set of topics to teach, where you have this, and they have to sit down and listen to a teacher. Because of course, in the formal, setting, it seems like the teacher is totally in charge, and all of that. And so he or she is kind of trying to drill a learning into whoever it is. And the young people are wondering, why do I need to sit here and watch you say what you're saying? But then you know what? Because I know education, yes, in general, we say it's you acquiring knowledge, acquiring understanding, acquiring some skills. But let's give it like a facelift,
mhm.
right? From just the normal trying to drill, knowledge into someone,
Right.
get it to a point where that the need of these adolescents or these young people, right, are brought into the classroom. I mean, getting them to now, not just because education really is not just that drilling of knowledge into them, but it's actually creating an environment, an
Mm,
atmosphere that they can come and learn, that they can come and become curious about things, ask questions about this, as they would normally do in the social world where they're trying to
right.
find meaning. So it's moved past the place where you want to impact knowledge. Sometimes when we teach, you say we want to impact knowledge, but it's you creating that environment and also building relationship with whoever it is that you're educating, such that the person now begins to discover things, out of it, learn, because learning is ongoing. It doesn't it's actually a process and an outcome. So if you're learning about something, at the end you may have an outcome, but it's a continuous thing. It doesn't end. So And of course, the other thing will also be from their family. Education, I would say, I've said it before and over. It's not just school. So sometimes with the education, we feel it's college, it's school, and I must be in a class to just listen to that teacher, make me understand this, make me learn this when I don't even think or know what I'm going to use this to do, right? But
Right.
then it should now be to the other side where an educator or an instructor or a tutor, right, doesn't see the students or the learners as objects that they act upon, but
Mm.
sees them as people that they can relate with,
Right.
and that would then, make them enjoy it, ask questions, they're able to share their experiences, and things that are being learned are related to the real world. Okay. Now, if families are having issues, right, convincing their children to go to school, now you have a duty, you have a role to play because education is not only in school, you have to start at home. What and what have you done? Have you shut them off when you've seen them exhibiting maybe a particular strength or a particular thing that they love to do? And like, no, don't do that. You need to do, so it's all encompassing, really, right? So they need to be encouraged even from home, to begin to look at it and to now know the benefits. Why do I need to be educated? Because if you look at it, as I said, it's not just the formal one, but also the informal one. So why do I need to be educated? Why do I need? And again, if you think about it, they may now also be around people who are not also educated. I don't know if you get, so they don't see a reason why they should really do this, because after all, people around me aren't. I can't see anything happening in their lives. I can't see them being confident. I can't see them having financial, security. I can't see them being dependent on themselves. I can't see them seizing opportunities. I can't see them going to the next level in life. I can't see them being a leader or being leaders in what they're doing. So
Right.
they're like, why then should I, go into it? So it's just a lot of, factors acting up here and there.
Hmm. But let me come in and say this. For instance, here in the Western world, and I made reference to children don't want to go to college and stuff like that. And one of the reasons is actually the civilization or the westernization of this place. The quality of the education. High school is, man, pretty much as good as universities in some other continent and some other countries of the world. Over here, their high school can almost equate to university. So you see an average high school graduate, the person is so bright, so smart, so sharp. He knows even more than someone who attended a university in some other continent that are third world, right? And then you see the economy that is also very encouraging. So they say, man, I can't go to university, I can't go to college when I can already make my money. So they just want to rush into life. And now the question to that is, how can such a person be encouraged? I know you have opportunities. I know you can make money. I know your some information is being drilled into you already, even at high school level. But how do you convince someone with this mindset that furthering your education, going to college, and even going further to have your PhD, is encouraged? How do you talk to somebody like that?
Okay, now, first
And
things
the
first,
parents of that person, if I should include that,
like the parents of that person,
and
right?
also the parents of that person. Yeah.
Okay, sure. So, for me, I think the first step, right, in life is having your value system, like a clear
Right.
path on what you want to do, what you want to achieve, and all of those. If you have that already, set out, it becomes easy to go on that path, isn't it?
Mm.
But when you have a child who is struggling in that manner, as a parent, you need to, it's not a do or die, remember. It's not, a forcing thing. You have to do this, you have to do that, and all of those. Yes. So as you said, here, for instance, in the Western world, where of course sometimes you even have access to funds, rather than in places where maybe in the underdeveloped or developing countries where they would need access to funds, and all
Right.
of this, and then it becomes a problem. But here, to a large extent, you could have access to funds. You could have a supporting system here and there, but that child needs to be told what the education will do for him or her,
Mm-hmm.
isn't it? Because
Yeah.
it's not just enough to make money. And I don't know. Yes, you should make money, but then of what use would going to school be to you?
Mm.
Of what use will it be? Of what advantage will it be even to that business? Have you seen somebody who is into a business and is also educated?
Oh, that's
My God,
beautiful.
if you
That's
look
a
at him,
beautiful
the way
sight.
he handles the business, the way
Right.
he does his customer service is just with so much excellence, and you're just
Right.
wondering, really, what's that,
Yeah.
slight difference between this person and the other person, because
Mm-hmm.
he's going to acquire knowledge about, even if it's just that area. Now again, even if you're saying that he wants to do business, he or she could be encouraged to go do a business course in school. Why?
Mm.
Because it would help him or her gain more skills, gain more knowledge to even push the business to the next level, isn't it? Because in
Yeah.
it you learn a whole lot of things about your accounting, about, you also now take charge of that business, because if you look at it on the long run, you need to bring in people who may need to help in that business, to run. Are you not going to also employ people who are not educated, people who do not
Mm.
have knowledge or skills in those areas? No, you wouldn't. You would want to get people who have knowledge, who have skills, who have expertise in the
Yeah.
things you want them to do, and so that your company or your business, whatever it is, can run, forward and make your, profits and all. So what advantage, really be? Because even if, for instance, we, like, bring it back home, I know we've had a time where we had to encourage a number of young people to go to school, and they're like, oh, okay, my dad didn't go to school, I'm already in business, I'm making money, but then
Mm.
when they come into the society where they meet people who are educated, maybe people who have gone to school and all, they feel all intimidated, no level of confidence, it
That's
comes all
right.
the way crashing down,
That's
you
right.
know and before you know, they're like, oh, my mates are doing this, I'm not doing that. They get into the state of, depression, and then before you know, you hear things about suicide and all of those. That's to the extreme anyway. But then, of what use would going to school be to you? Of what use will it be to that business? Of what use will it be to you as a person? You develop, your personality as a person. You learn how to deal with people, relate to people, be able to manage people, because you want to be a leader in the thing you're doing. In there, you learn all of those, okay, on how to handle all those. So I think it's just letting that person know, right, what use education will be to him or her in that line of action that he or she is, going on.
I have, if you can hear me, I had a little bit of um, camera challenge over here, but I think my voice is still coming through. Confirm
Yeah,
if you
yeah,
can
sure,
hear
I can
me.
hear you.
Yeah, but let me see how to fix this camera challenge. But that's not gonna deter us at all. We're gonna go talking about this because I'm happy people can see you.
Yeah.
Um, I'm happy people can see you. Okay. Now let me think along this line. I was once talking to somebody and I said, university makes you universal. And I'm like, I said to the person, I believe the word university came from the root word. I mean, university came from the root word, the universe. There's something about, the universe and university that makes you universal. It makes you versatile. It makes you, knowing in where I came from, in the native language that I speak, they call university mahadum. So you get in a position, mahadum simply means in English, know it all. So you get in a position when you attend college, attend university, where you get to know everything. You just have to know it all. And the fact that you've known it all makes it impossible for anybody to intimidate you. And a wise man once said that a time comes in life where you should be able to know something about everything and everything about something. Now that's so amazing. You know something about everything and everything about something, and that comes back to learning that you've been talking about. So I want you to make a differentiation, because in this video you've been talking about education and learning, yearning to learn, yearning to learn. I've heard you use that phrase, and I want you to help us understand, right? What does it mean to learn and what does it mean to be educated? Where does informal education come in and formal education come in, and how do we integrate the two to have a wholesome experience?
Okay. So I've already talked about education in general as acquiring knowledge, and I said let's move away from that and say it's a wise. So I was reading up something, and I'm like, okay, this is something a bit different from the norm that we know. So it's a wise, it's a hopeful and respectful cultivation of learning, which is undertaken in the belief that all should have a chance to share in life. I don't know
Awesome.
if you got that. So
Yeah,
it
I
said
did.
it's a wise, hopeful,
Mm-hmm.
respectful cultivation of learning that is
Mm.
undertaken,
Mm.
believing so much that
Right.
everyone, all should have a chance, to share in life. Now,
Right.
someone called Mark Smith, he said education is a process of inviting truth and possibility. That
Hmm.
is what the process of you inviting truth and possibility. And another person said something. It's a process of living. And it's not just you preparing for a future living, it's actually a process of living. So your
Hmm.
everyday life is about education. So because you said something about us saying whether it's informal or formal, we'll get there, right? But your everyday life. So if you're not being educated in something or in a skill, in knowledge, you're not living. I'm
Right.
sorry I'm saying it that way. So
No,
you're not
but it's
leaving
true.
because it's a process of living. So it's
Right.
not just you preparing for a future living that you're going
Right.
to, but it's a process. But then it's a continuous thing, isn't it? It's but at every point in time, you have a learning process going on.
Wow.
Learning
Let
itself
me
is
see if
also a
this is what.
process and
Let me
it's
see if
an
this is what you're
outcome.
saying.
So
Let
that
me.
means I could be learning about maybe a skill, I could be learning about something that I need at the moment. So at that time, it's a process. And then when I'm done, I gain a level of understanding of that thing, or I better appreciate it. So at that time, is now an outcome. But am I still learning? Yes, I'm still learning, isn't it? I'm still learning. Now, if you come down to it being formal and informal, and that's what I said, most of learning incorporates both formal and informal. So informal, your school setting, your school
Yeah.
setting, a college setting, right? Where you have a curriculum, you've got some set of objectives that you would want maybe a certain person maybe doing a certain course in a certain year to achieve by the end of that year. Or maybe you could have like learning goals, you could have like lesson plans for each lesson. So you're saying each lesson, at the end of this lesson, this is what I hope you would achieve at the end of this lesson, like that. So you have like curriculum, you have a set of objectives to achieve, and then of course in that kind of setting, you have a tutor, you have an instructor, you have a teacher, you have an educator who at that time is the one who is creating that environment, right? Is creating that environment and trying to build a relationship where you learn. But the informal setting, you don't have that curriculum, so to say, right? It could just be a group, maybe an event that has been organized, and maybe an educator has been invited. And at that time, the educator is not particularly in charge, but at that time, in both of them, you're trying to create an environment where people learn. Okay. Now you could also have other forms, maybe somewhere at the middle where you would have some set of things to achieve. Maybe you want to learn carpentry, you want to learn whatever it is you want to learn, outside the walls of the school, and it becomes, kind of informal. But in both of them, something is really important: the environment. The environment is really important because it drives home learning. It determines whether that person lives there better than he or she arrived there or not, right? It drives home learning, the environments that we create, the relationships that we build as we move on. Because if you look at it in informal, which nowadays has been incorporated even into formal, you have something called a dialogue. So it's a time of conversation, you know, there's a topic on the table, a topic to be discussed, and the teacher is sharing his or her views, and the students also have an opportunity, because remember I said it's an environment where they discover things. And that is why as children, when they are growing up, we don't dampen their curiosity. If you think about it, maybe a child who is just learning to talk, after some time you'll be hearing things like why, what, when, where. They just ask like questions. But then over time, sometimes we see we dampen them by saying you don't give them an answer, you don't explain things to them, just dampen it, and they grow up not wanting to learn, that eagerness to learn. They don't ask questions, because for instance in science, it's just about asking questions, right? You see something not happening the way it should happen, and you're wondering, why is that tree growing that way? Why is this person exhibiting this trait? And also, if you now have a question, you say, okay, this is what I want to find out. You make a hypothesis to say, okay, if I change this, that will happen, and then from there you do an experiment, you come up with a result, and then you share it with the body of knowledge, and people are able to go in there, pick up what you've found, what you've discovered, try it in their own end, and all of those, right? So one thing is really key in both of them: environment. Very, very important. Okay. But then as we go along, you find out that being educated is a mix. I can't stop saying that. A mix of both informal and formal, where you have a curriculum, where you have to learn something because maybe you need to get a job and you are required to use Microsoft, for
Yeah.
instance, Word, Excel, the office, and you don't know how to do it. So at that time, what do? You have to go learn. That's education. So you may not really need to run into a school to learn. They're like places where you can learn. You can learn online, and now you can see what's happening. Most of the learning experience now has come online. A lot of people are not so happy with it, are exhausted from it. But now there are lots of things out there on the internet that you can learn. Okay, so it's really a mix, and of course, the most of the education we can get is when there's a combination of both of them.
All right. Confirm if you can still hear me.
Yeah. Are you there?
Okay. Yeah. Can you hear me? Can you hear me?
Pastor Ike, are you there?
Yes, I'm here. But can you hear me? Yeah, no? Give me 1 second. Oh my goodness, this is
No, I can't seem to hear you. So now I can hear you on the other device.
listening to what she's saying. So blessed listening to what she's saying. This is so amazing. I think I was able to fix. Yeah, but you can hear me right now. Am I correct?
Yeah, sure.
I was able to fix the my computer trying to act up on me. Yeah, people are watching from all over. People are sharing this video, and it's quite interesting what you've been discussing with us. Let me ask question about what do I ask about now? Basic education, and I really feel there is a problem with basic education. Now, I'm not against basic education, but this is why I say I'm having a little bit of problem with it. And I want to know what you would suggest or what you would recommend or what you would say. In some third world countries, in some, let me be specific, African countries, the highest office, the highest political office requires for you to have basic education, just basic. And it seems to me that that is a problem because I've seen people get that basic and they're like, oh well, this is all I need as long as I have my basic education. I mean, I can't even aspire to the highest political office with my basic education. And then we have a situation where somehow illiterate or semi-illiterate are now presiding over smart and intelligent people, a little bit distorted. So how do we address basic education? How important is it? At what point should we say, listen, you know what, you cannot be contained in life having just basic education? Should we even say that at all, or is it possible that some people can be contained having basic education? What do you have to say about that?
Okay. I know I know that is prevalent, as you said, right?
Hmm.
I want to use the word downtown.
Downtown, exactly.
Down there,
Downtown.
right? Where we just choose to be comfortable with just a basic education. But then, sorry, I'm going to also ask questions somehow, right? To
Right.
see how has that helped us?
Right. I
Of
know.
how
Wow.
that helped us? How far has it gone? You know, is there really any? Now, I want to say that yes, it gives everybody a pedestal, right, to aspire to do, to be in leadership, to do. But we need to step out of our comfort zone.
Hmm.
We need to step out of that comfort zone, and that's why we have that disparity, between countries, right? Because if you look at it, you can imagine if we had highly educated people, I mean, like across the world, you will see some level of, equality, isn't it? You will see some level of equality. The other day I was listening to something and I can't remember, it was a conference or something. And somebody was saying it was an international conference and he said that they have Africa where they want them to be.
Oh my God.
Because, yes, because if they rise up from there,
My God.
then these other parts of the world would not be able to take advantage, of them or their resources or things like that. So it becomes a problem. It becomes a place of competition. It becomes a place where now you now begin to look at Africa as, oh my God, okay, I need to go invest. I need to go do this. I need to go do that. Yeah, I heard that, and I was saying no. No, I was screaming out and I said, no, this can't be. How do you say you want to? So it keeps us in that place where we are now being manipulated, where we are taken advantage of, where we can't, step up to our equals, where we can't stand in a place where others do. We're taking it. But of course, if you look at it, it would affect governance.
Mm.
And that's what's happening even today. It affects
Right.
governance, isn't it? Because now again it's even another thing to just have a basic education to be in governance, but it's also another thing to now begin to say, you know what, I've not got these skills and I need the right people with the right set of skills on board. Is a different thing,
Right.
isn't it? I don't have this knowledge, I don't have this skill, I'm leading, but then you know what, I need to get the right people with the right set of skills, with the right
Exposure.
extent, yes, with the right exposure, with the right experience, with the right expertise to come on board, and so that we can do this governance thing. Because without them, then it now becomes obvious that
Mm.
basic education is taking us nowhere. For me, I think as much as it's a level ground, knowing that not everybody may ordinarily be able to go over there, looking at the circumstances, right, that are prevalent, finances. Because if you look at education, this time or this year, 2020, actually revealed the fact that education is not cheap.
Mm. Mm. Wow. Wow.
It's not cheap. You can't get it cheap.
Right.
You
Right.
cannot get it cheap. It is not cheap. I've been saying it over and over because all the years it's been looking at, okay, you just, I don't know, go to a school, no matter how the structure is, open roof, whatever, water everywhere, and children are there and learning. No, education is not cheap. It's not, right? So we need to step up from there. As much as it's going to be a level playing ground, yes, but then that comfort zone has not done us any good. We need to step up. We need to let people, gain expertise, gain knowledge, gain skills. We've got resources in Africa. We've got resources, for instance, in our country that we've not exploited, we've not used, but then you need expertise. You need people who are experienced. You need people who have gained skills and knowledge in that area to begin to tap into them, right, and use them. And then it comes back to being to making the economy even better. Okay, so yes, as much as it is that, I think even other countries, started with that basic thing, but people have moved on. We need to move on. We need to move on, right? Now, the thing is, maybe somebody may be saying, okay, is it because maybe had an opportunity to study or not? No, I'm even talking about us moving on inwards in the country.
Inwards. Mm.
What's happening to the state of the schools?
My God. My God.
What is happening? What's happening? Okay, what's level of, I don't want, okay, maybe say, teachers, what's their level of expertise? Now, even if you bring them in, you bring them in because it's your neighbor, it's your friend, you just want to give him a job or hire a job, you're not training her, she's not exposed, none of the, because if you look at it, I talked about education as being something, a wise, hopeful, but then there should be some element of, truth, right? Because if you respect somebody, you hold that person dearly. But something that would make you respect somebody is to look at the level of truth that person exposes you to. So that means educators should now go out and acquire the truth. Truth, now I mean, in their area of expertise, isn't it? So that if you come and you're saying something, I can trust you with it. I can hold on to you with it. But then, what's the state of the schools? Are teachers being paid well? Are they encouraged to teach? Lots of things are not okay at the moment now. the Western world and ongoing with education. But back there, we've been out of school since March.
Let me say, let me come in. Let me just really come in because, and I want to take advantage of this broadcast to, excuse me. I want to take advantage of this program, the broadcast to look at what you said in that international conference. You said they were having, and they made mention of we have Africa where we want them to be.
Mm-hmm.
Now they know they have us where they want us to be, whoever they are. But the frightening and the shocking and the disappointing thing is that we do not know that they have boxed us into a place of lack of development. Cognitively speaking, we don't have cognitive development. They boxed us in. And because they've messed up with our cognitive development, we've lost touch with reasoning. We've lost touch with reasoning. And I want to ask this question. Does education process our reasoning faculty? Does it help us to have superior reasoning? Because I want to believe that the difference between me and the lion in the jungle is that I could reason, but the lion can't reason. So, what does education do to our reasoning faculty?
Yeah, so as much as you want to say the lion does not reason, he can reason his own level, isn't it? In the animal kingdom, because if you look at it, he's in charge.
Right.
He's reasoning on that level, and you're on this other level with your humans also reasoning, isn't it? Now, of course, education opens your mind. If you remember, I said something to you about dampening the curiosity of
The
people,
curiosity, yes.
right? And like if you have a child who's saying, "Why should I do this?" and you're like, "Don't just do it." That is not an answer. Don't just do it because this, that. So it
Hmm.
exposes you, opens up your mind, right? It helps you to reason even better. Yes, it does that. It opens your mind. It increases like curiosity. I said something to you about science, for instance. You just ask questions. So all the research you're seeing out there and all those were just out of somebody asking a question to say, why does this happen? If and then you now begin to say, if you change this, that happens. If you do this, that happens, right? So that kind of exposure brings you to a place where there's a better reasoning for you. Even if you say that we don't know we've been boxed up, I think to a certain level we know we are boxed up. You can see the outcry, outburst of people saying, you know what, I'm tired. I need to get out. I need to come out of the box. I need to come out of the box, and be who I should be, to the things that I should do, and just come out and be exposed to the right, things, right environment, right relationships, doing the right thing, and yes, education opens up our reasoning. It helps us to reason even better. It does. Because if you think about it, if you look at maybe for like college education or primary school or secondary school, you've got something called emotional intelligence. I don't know
Hmm.
if you've heard of that before. Sometimes you say this child is intelligent, that
Right.
one is intelligent, and all of those. That one you're saying is not intelligent is actually intelligent. What about him or her?
Hmm.
Is he doing so well in? So, for instance, you're in a class and you have children, talking, talking, talking. Those ones that talk are people that should head groups. So,
Right.
what do? Change the teaching atmosphere immediately, get them into groups. Those ones who talk a whole lot, put them in charge of groups. And you're going to see them do so well.
I love it.
You're going to see them do so well. So those ones are people smart. We call them people smart. They are people, they like to talk to people. So why don't you bring out that strength in them?
Mhm.
So if you put them into groups, give them an assignment, you're going to find out that that group with that person who talks is going to do well, right?
Hmm.
Because at that time you have placed him in charge with that thing that seemingly looks like a weakness,
Hmm.
and then it comes out and then it becomes a strength.
I like that.
You see somebody who is good with letters, with alphabets, with words. That person is smart in that area. So that means what do? Feed him a lot with books, help him read, help him, develop that part of him really well, right? You see another person who is so good with music. There are people who are number smart. Oh my God, with numbers, they do a whole lot. You ask them something about this times, they're out with your answers. What do? You have that strength. Harness it, bring it up, and there are people who are good with music, there are people who are good with drawings, there are people who are good with all those. So, you know, so we should move away from that part and then come on to the part where that seeming weakness now becomes a strength. But it won't just become a strength if it's allowed to just lie dormant that way. It needs to be brought out. Okay.
And I know you are learning a lot as I am learning a lot on this video. This is just amazing. This is just amazing. Let me talk about financing. You said categorically that education is expensive. Well, I agree. Um, and one of the discouragements why people don't go to college, I don't want to go to college over here is money. Is basically the money. Even though they have a system, you can pay that money over time. They can loan you the money and you go to your school, but you pay it over time, but they are
You
still
still
kind of,
pay, isn't it?
yeah. So how do you deal with education and the financing of it?
Your video seems to be cracking. Hello? Okay, I was just I can't hear you, but I'll just continue. So now, me not saying it's not cheap, does not mean you need to go steal something, right? But someone has to pay for it. So sometimes it could be out of pocket. Sometimes it could be a governing body, sponsoring it. Sometimes it could be an organization. Sometimes it could be friends coming together, but it must be paid for, isn't it?
Yeah.
Now, I understand that funds or finances, have been a great challenge to people going to schools, especially formally. I totally understand that, right? And it's really a problem. But then, are funds available? I would say yes, and I would say no, depending on how you look at it. Okay, so somebody who wants to go to school, and again, depending on where you are going to school. For instance, we are talking about here and funds being available, but eventually you have to pay for them. But then, of course, when you need it, it comes, and you're able to go to school, acquire the knowledge, acquire the skill, be in the best environments to learn, and then afterwards you pay. But then, what of a scenario where people do not have money and do not have access to it, or um, or are even denied of it? Then, working amongst young people, they always say, my parents don't have money to send me to school. There's no money to do this. There's no money to do this. I need to work. I need to work in order to save, to go to school. And I'm always so happy to see them trying to make an effort as much as there's a limitation, but they're also trying to see, okay, how do I get past this, to still be able to, go to school. Okay. Now, I know that over the years, we've had something like, scholarships, funding for people. Sadly, sometimes, even when they're available, maybe in certain places, maybe downtown, as I'll say again, sometimes you're not able to access them. It's frustrating. It's really frustrating. I totally understand that it's really frustrating, right? But then sometimes you could have, scholarships that are made available. I was listening to somebody who is in the education sector, and then he also said something that there have been funds over the years from different countries, from different places that have not been accessed. So people have not found them out. People have not, taken advantage of them. People have not have not seized the opportunity to use them. But another thing is, how do they now also get to know that there are funds available? One way, of course, is the internet, right? So sometimes you need to Google, you need to do a search, you need to talk to a family friend, you need to talk to a friend, you need to talk to an advisor, you need to talk to your parents, you need to talk to people, you need to search for it. Actually, you really need to. Now again, sometimes some schools, sometimes of course abroad, or even back home, right, may have funding available. So sometimes it's a part scholarship, sometimes it's a full scholarship. So you really need to go out to find them. So for anyone who wants to go to school, I would say something. Let your phones or your internet or whatever device you have be put to use. Okay. By God's grace, the masters I did in the UK, was actually on a scholarship. Was on a scholarship, and it was thanks to the Good Luck's Jonathan's government, because he had a vision to send people abroad, people who have done really well in school abroad, train them to do their masters, they do their PhD, they all come back, and give back to the community and better the country. Sadly, that did not continue, and after he left and all. And now this other one too is also a scholarship. So I think we need to find out. So for me on my own, I know I've said to a few people, let's come together. So I had a video call with somebody last week, and we're trying to scout out for schools. She wants to do a master's, so we'll sit down and find out what you really want to do in the master's, what area she wants to go into. Let's look at it. What schools are available? If you look at them, what are their requirements? Do they have funding? If they do, is it a part funding? Is it a full funding? And all of those. But then, if we go back home, I think the government has a key role to even play here, right? We need to better the education sector. We need to put funds, and not just put funds, but use the funds, right? We need to get the schools equipped. We need to train teachers. We need to make resources available. We need to do all of those to encourage even students or learners or people to come to study.
All
Very,
right.
very important.
Okay. You can hear me, am I correct? Something is truly wrong with my video today.
Okay.
Can you hear me?
On the other device, yes.
On the other device, yes. I like that. Okay.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
let me ask
It's
one
kind
more
of
last question.
breaking. I
I'm
can
gonna
hear you on the other one, but I can't hear you on the main one. So
right.
it's breaking.
I'm gonna fix this issue. Let me ask one more question. It still works as long as you're hearing me. But I'm trying not to interrupt the video because we are down now to our last question, and we'll continue in the second segment of this. But keeping it within an hour space, I want to ask one more last question, and it's going to border around self education. I want you to speak to the concept of self education.
The concept of, you mean like training yourself, you mean, or funding your education?
Everything around that, everything around that, self medication is not advised. Is self education advised?
Okay. Oh my God. Okay. Self-medication is not advice. Now, I think it depends on how you're looking at it, right? Self-education and all. So what so I think the end thing is what you want to learn, isn't it? What you want to learn, what you want to achieve, the knowledge you want to acquire, the skill you want to acquire, it depends on that, isn't it? So at the moment, or in what you're doing in in that area you want to actually acquire knowledge or skill, right? So if it's something you can do on your own, so for instance, you could go online to learn, you could go to a learning center, you could go to maybe out school, something, right? You can do that on your own. But then when it comes to funding, it's really difficult, right? Because it could be really expensive. It could really be expensive, and you're not able to do that. So that means you need help with funding, and all of those, maybe from family, from friends, or from an organization, or from just like doing a PhD is totally expensive. It's not something you can self-sponsor. Only otherwise, if you can, you've got somebody to pay or you've got the money, fine. But then if you're able to get a funding, able to get a scholarship, then why not seize the opportunity and still achieve the end goal? Okay.
All right. As I conclude, let me quickly as I conclude, let me quickly apologize to people for the unfortunate issue I was having back here in the studio. Deeply unfortunate. I don't know what went wrong with my camera today, but I'm gonna find a way to fix it. But honestly speaking, if you go back to this, if you go back to this lecture from beginning, it will amaze you the level of wisdom, information, instruction, advice, strategy that my sister and my friend brought out on this video. She was truly on fire. I mean, this is one lady that is passionate about education. She's gone for her master. She's doing her PhD right now. And she's not just doing that selfishly, she's also taking advantage of her connections with people to impart the yearning, the yearning for learning and the quest for education on people. And I really want to thank you, woman of God. I apologize also to you for what went wrong with my computer. And I apologize to everyone that's watching. But I'm sure in our second edition, in our next video, I promise I'm gonna get it right. But that didn't distort the level of information and conversation and exposure that this video conveyed to us. So I want to ask you to please go back from the beginning and watch this conversation from the beginning. And believe me, you will truly be blessed. I want to thank you for watching. I want to thank my sister and also my brother for sharing his wife with us today. I always do appreciate people who are kind and liberal enough to share their wife with the world. Honey, go out there and do what you do. Um, and I'm praying for young ladies who are listening to me to marry the Tobechuku kind of husband, because some husbands are angry that you are the one teaching out there, and they want to suppress you and keep you at home, and they don't want you to shine. But my brother, from very many years, from childhood, I know him, and I know him really good. He is a good man. He is a God man. He is a nice person, and I'm telling you, I'm so very excited to have him as a brother and a friend. And I'm also appreciating him for sharing his wife with the world to come and be a blessing to us. Woman of God, thank you for today. We are going to fix the second part of this discussion. And in the second part today, what we did, guys, is that today we just talked on foundational issues and generally speaking. But when we get to the second part, we'll begin now to attempt to go into some specifics. We'll begin to go into some details and begin to deal with some things. We go deeper in the second part of this video. But we use the first part of the video to lay foundation. We use the first part of the video to talk about education in general. But the second part, we get into it. I mean, for example, if we're getting into funding your education, man, we are going to talk about it. We're going to give you insight, wisdom, exposure. We're going to tell you maybe the website that you want to consider that can help you fund the education. We're just going to give you all the resources that you will need to help you in your quest for education. That's what's going to happen in subsequent videos. But this video is just an intro video to a long series on education. And I'm happy that I have someone that I want to call professor. Maybe she's not been confined a professor, but right now, ahead of time, oh boy, she is the professor that I know. And I love professors who are intelligent, because sadly, the decadence of education has made some professors even illiterate. I mean, some illiterates are sadly professors. You can't believe that, but that's true. That's how corrupt and that's how decayed the education process has become. You see some professors, but lo and behold, they are illiterate even as professors. But it's always fun to have a professor who is quite knowledgeable, who is quite exposed, who is quite learned, and that is my sister right here. Well, from me to you, it is God bless you. We came your way from um, one of the most amazing and beautiful countries of the world. My sister, do you have a last word? And I would want you to also say a very, very short prayer. I know this might not be religiously inclined, but we want to end it with a simple prayer for those who listen. So if you have a last word, if you can give us your last word and just end it with a very short prayer.
Yeah. Okay. So once more, thank you for having me, and thank you for giving me an opportunity to talk about something I'm passionate about. Right. What I want to see is to have young people, is to have people being exposed to the right environment and able to acquire the knowledge, the skill, the value, the values, the beliefs, whatever it is that would help them reach their full potential. That is what I'm really out to do as a person. That's what I'm leaving. That's just my outcry and the desire of my heart. So, as you said, in subsequent videos, we're trying to look at things that are specific. In fact, I don't know, Pastor, I thank you so much for this opportunity, because as a person, I've been looking out for a way to reach out to people, to help people, for us to come together as maybe two, three people, five people, and just talk about our educational needs. What do we need to do? What do I want to do? Where do I want to go? And all those things, and help them out. So thank you so much for this opportunity, and thank you again, because I'm sure you were in my mind and I was thinking about it. So as he said, subsequently we'll try to deal with some um, specifics. Okay, so thank you so much for coming on if you did. And for anyone who did not and is just watching the video, thank you so much. Thank you so much. And I'll just say this short prayer. Meanwhile, before I go, thank you for appreciating my husband. Indeed, the journey has just been um, easier and able for me to go on because of him. He's my support system. He's just been there. He said, "You know what? I know this is what you love. I'm going to support you all the way." And he's been there. So this is like a little shout out to him, wherever he is, and saying thank you. So Father, we thank you. We give you thanks. We worship you. We adore you for such a time like this. And we're able to talk about education. Father, we give you thanks. Father, you even from you, we know you want us to be people who are not just there without knowledge. You said that when we lack knowledge, we're not just the kind of people, when you don't want us to be people who lack knowledge, because you said we are destroyed because we lack knowledge. And thank you, because you went ahead to make a provision for even our education. You said that your spirit will teach us all things. That is a learning process, a learning time, because learning is an ongoing thing, is an everyday thing. You even made that provision. We thank you. Lord, I want to use the opportunity to reach out to everyone who has an educational need, whatever it is, whatever it is. Lord, I pray that you reach out to them. For people who are looking out for help, people who are looking out for funds, people who need somebody to talk to, people who need maybe an opportunity. Father, I pray that you help them even understand, make provisions available for them. Thank you for this platform. Lord, we pray that this platform, oh God, that you use it to reach out to people home and abroad. We give you thanks and we worship you in Jesus' name. Amen.
And amen. Thank you, my sister.
Amen.
Thank you, everyone. And we will see you again on the second edition of this video. Do not forget that Friday we have an amazing revival meeting featuring Pastor Ohis Ojekere, Dr. Ebenezer Omobude, Dr. Philip Ransome Bello, and Engineer Ike Onobogo. That is going to be an amazing event, and that will be in the ministry question. So come Friday, 30th of October, please check back on this page, and you all also will be blessed by that amazing, powerful program. It's on that note that we say God bless you, goodbye, and have a beautiful day. Shalom.